To be completely honest with you, I wasn't listening to a thing you just said.
My leg looks like Picasso. see, God damn it. Have you?
I think you know the answer.
You. Oh my God. This man, he needs to be studied in a lab.
I can explain everything.
No, he can't.
I can explain.
There is no shot.
The Lakers.
I'm not going to let you choose the Lakers.
Damn
Pick
it.
something else. We made such a mess. I am a casual.
We are mega casuals. So, are the Bills just cursed like forever? Because that was insane. Yeah, we're going to talk about every single game, don't worry. But obviously the last game is going to be the freshest in everyone's minds. And it was also arguably that, okay, we got 50% spoiled with the matchups this week because we had a really good Packers-Niners game and we had a really good. So both the evening games were really good. We're going to talk about the most recent one, though. Okay, first thing we have to say, Josh Allen. No one can say that Josh Allen lost in this game because there were multiple times, especially in the fourth quarter, where he was throwing a great ball and the receivers just could. Stephon Diggs, they're like franchise guy who wants all the money and loves to like make everything about himself. No, off my computer. Don't want the cat to destroy everything. You know, like Stephon Diggs has this reputation of, you know, making a scene when things aren't going his way. And when he gets a ball, I'm not saying I could do this, all right? I'm only critiquing the player based on what we've seen this player do in the past. This is not me saying I could have caught that ball. I couldn't have. But that ball went right through his hands, and we've seen him make catches even more impressive than that before. So if Stephon Diggs has the audacity to go on social media for the next couple of weeks and put out cryptic tweets and shit, or even request a trade out of Buffalo, it's fucking stupid because he was given, 9 targets in this game? So it's not like it was for a lack of trying by Josh Allen. There were even times Josh was forcing the ball to him in crucial third down situations in the fourth quarter, probably because, 1, you want your superstar player to make a play, but 2, he was probably like, give me the ball, Josh. But Josh Allen does not get any bit of the blame for this game. So wide right is just like a thing for Buffalo now. That's just always going to happen. Man, I'm not going to lie. After Houston lost, I was like, a Bills-Lions Super Bowl would be pretty dope because neither of those franchises have a Super Bowl. So I think that'd be awesome. But, man, the Lions are the only team that I'm rooting for at this point. Like, the Chiefs are never beating the ref allegations, by the way. This is a great game for it. Like, the pass interference, the comical amount of missed holding calls against the Chiefs, like, it was bad. So they're never beating those allegations, which makes them annoying. And also, this has nothing to do with the Chiefs. This also has nothing to do with Taylor Swift. I feel bad for Taylor Swift because the NFL is doing this. But, oh my God, stop cutting to Taylor Swift all the time. They'll, like, lose 1 yard on the first play of the game. Like, what's Taylor think about that? Like, and no, you can't be mad at Taylor about that. It's not like Taylor's like, hey, it's not like she's on the phone with Goodell just like, hey, yeah, can you make sure every time something happens you just cut? Like, no, she doesn't want that. But yeah, between like the referees and every single play cutting to Taylor Swift, like I just don't want to see the Chiefs on TV anymore. Which is funny because I like to root for the Chiefs because I like Patrick Mahomes and they're a fun team to watch. But this season it's not the team I want to root for. And the Ravens are kind of a fun story, but the Niners, like, mainly just as a Steelers fan, I don't want the Niners to get the 6th ring because then they tie us and the Patriots. That's legit the only reason I want to root for the Niners. I think they're a really fun team to root for. But no, right now, Detroit has all of America's support, I'm pretty sure, minus the city of Kansas City, Missouri, Baltimore, Maryland, and San Francisco, California. Everywhere else is rooting for Detroit, which is insane. But yeah, so I talked about Josh Allen. And I'm trying to think, really, just in the fourth quarter especially, no run game from the Bills. If there was a run game, it was because of Josh Allen. But, like, James Cook could not get going. And weird call for the fake punt, but they got a little bailed out because of the fumble into the end zone. And then, obviously, on the subsequent drive, that's when, dude, Josh Allen throws such a beautiful deep ball. It's such a good deep ball. I really do just feel bad for Josh Allen, man. Even though they beat Pittsburgh last week, I was really pushing for them to make the AFC Championship just because they've gotten so close every single year. And then for it to come down to a missed field goal by your kick, like, that's just got to be so demoralizing, especially with how they started the season, the run that they went on. It was a really bummer. It was a bummer. Such a bummer. I keep looking at my hair because on one of the TikToks that we posted, someone was like, dude, what's up with your hair? And so now, thanks, Dick. I'm self-conscious about it. It doesn't look that great. That's fine. All right, so there's that game. I'm not going to talk too much about the Baltimore-Houston game. Houston just looked like a young team that was inexperienced in the playoffs, and Baltimore looked like the best team in the NFL, arguably, right there. So Lamar had a great game. Lamar had a game that's like, yeah, this is why I am going to win MVP. So CJ Stroud just, it wasn't like CJ Stroud had major turnover issues or he lost them the game. They were just unable to produce when they needed them to the most. So, I mean, there's some positives to take away from that. It's not like they got shut out. They did put up 14 points. They still did lose by like 21. So we're not really talking about that game. And then Detroit and Tampa, just kind of like a fun game overall. I think that's the best way to describe it because a year ago, if I told you both these teams would be there, you probably would not believe me. And to see Baker Mayfield leading this team to almost the NFC Championship game was really fun to watch. But I am so happy for the city of Detroit, especially Dan Campbell and also Jared Goff. Just, everyone kind of, when Stafford got traded and Goff was included in the trade, everyone's like, Goff is about to be out in Detroit. Like, they're going to draft a quarterback. But no, they stuck with him, and Jared Goff's showing us, like, yeah, I got to a Super Bowl, and it wasn't all McVay. And I would love to see Goff get to a Super Bowl and win one. I think that'd be so awesome to see. Also, if Detroit wins the Super Bowl this year, it shows that you can any organization can turn it around within 2 seasons, kind of like Cincinnati. Like, Detroit is in a very similar situation to what Cincinnati was in a couple years ago, where it's like they're coming back directly off of a subpar, if not bad, season, and then possibly making and winning the Super Bowl. So fingers crossed for Detroit on that one. And then Niners-Packers, a little more attention here. Okay, from the Niners-Packers game, look at me. Look me in the eyes right now. You see me? You cannot tell me Brock Purdy had a better game than Jordan Love. Did Jordan Love have one bad play that Brock Purdy did not? Yes. But Jordan Love looked like if I told you one of these two guys, if you didn't know anything about the NFL, and I was like, one of these teams is considered the best team in football with a great MVP caliber quarterback, you'd be like, oh, the Packers. Somehow you'd be wrong. But the Packers' future is going to be one of the biggest talking points of the offseason, just because they have a young, solid foundation for a receiver core right now. I still think if they can get there's only like 2 really good prospects and really good prospects in this draft, and they're going to be gone by the time Green Bay's picking. But they obviously just need completely rehaul the defensive scheme, and they're definitely not going to bring back their DC. So they have some pieces on defense, but I wouldn't be surprised if first, second, and third picks in this next draft by Green Bay are strictly defense, because the offense put it together at the end of the season. So yeah, and then San Fran, man, it's just like, it's so frustrating watching San Fran, because for people that don't watch the games, but that either watch highlights or box score watch or only play fantasy, those are the people that are like, Brock Purdy's an MVP. Brock Purdy is a top 15 quarterback. That's not arguable. But he's not this phenomenally talented quarterback. Again, I'm not saying I could do a third an 1,000th of the shit that he's doing. I'm comparing him to other NFL quarterbacks in the modern NFL. He is above average, but he is not an MVP caliber quarterback. I think he is like a little bit above what Jimmy Garoppolo would be. Like, he is basically Jimmy Garoppolo from a couple seasons ago, but throwing a couple more touchdowns. Like, they do lean on him a little bit more, but I think that's just because he's younger and he can learn more. When you're Jimmy G's age, when he was on that good run with the 49ers, he was already getting into his veteran, like, age. Not age. His veteran, like, era in the NFL. So he already had an established play style, and there were certain schemes that worked better with him. But meanwhile, with Brock Purdy, you can mold the player around the scheme rather than molding the scheme around the player. And I think that's where San Fran is benefiting from it right now, and that's why he does look better than Jimmy Garoppolo did. But still, same type of situation and same type of quarterback. Because in all reality, the San Fran team is led by Christian McCaffrey and 2 phenomenal wide receivers, as well as a phenomenal tight end. And as long as that team can stay healthy, they're always going to be in the consideration for a Super Bowl, or in the consideration for competing for a Super Bowl. And it's just like, my concern for the Niners is that they struggled to beat the defense of the Packers, which is the same defense that almost got beat by the Carolina Panthers. So if you would have told me that game would have been close, I would have expected like a 37-36 game. 24-27 is still pretty high scoring, but you know what I mean. I would have thought points, like more like what the final score of the Dallas Green Bay game was. So that's my concern there, because not only does Baltimore have a better defense than Green Bay, but they have a better coordinator and a better scheme than Green Bay. So if Baltimore does meet with the Niners in the Super Bowl, that's going to be real difficult. And now let's talk about the games. I still can't believe the Bills lost that, man. So, Chiefs, Ravens. I don't know, man. The game's in Baltimore. And everything is pointing towards Baltimore. But it's very similar to everything pointing towards Buffalo. And Baltimore has the more overall talent, not the most like talented player, that obviously is Patrick Mahomes. But Baltimore has the more overall talent. And I would argue that they have a better defense. They have a better offense. And so this is something that all things are pointing towards a Baltimore win and a Baltimore advancing to the Super Bowl. But it's hard to fall for that, because that's exactly what I was thinking about this week with the Bills. And again, I'm not a Chiefs hater. I like watching the Chiefs play football, at least not this season, because Matt Nagy's doing everything and he makes my brain hurt. But they're a fun team to watch because of how they manipulate offensive schemes and offensive systems, it just makes football fun. And I think the Chiefs are one of the reasons why a lot more people are watching football in the last couple of years. Not only because they've been dominant, but because they've made the game fun. And they're a likable team with likable players. But that being said, the whole referee issue, it really does feel like the NFL wants the Chiefs to be in every single game and win every single game and get to the big game. So I don't know. I'm going to say Baltimore wins because of talent and because of production and because of matchups and because the Super Bowl logo has purple on it. That's a real thing. Last 3. Can we get like yellow and powder blue next year for the Lions against the Steelers? I guess I could also be like Chargers against the Packers, or Lions against or like Commanders against the Chargers. Anyways, but I don't know. The linebacking core for Baltimore should be able to contain Travis Kelce. Now that Travis Kelce has been what we've seen him be the last couple of seasons, but still, he still is a threat that he's still going to demand respect from the defenses. But so that's the number one weapon for Kansas. Sorry, I'm not This is off the dome. The game just ended and I clicked record, so that's why I seem a little. But the linebacking core for Baltimore is so great. It can easily contain Travis Kelce. Their secondary is good enough to contain at least Rashee Rice. And that's all you need to worry about for Kansas City, because every other wide receiver or receiving option will make boneheaded knucklehead plays that end up hurting the Chiefs. And Baltimore has the tools to shut down those two players. And they also have the defensive front to stop the run game with Isaiah Pacheco. That's essentially what's going to come down to, in my opinion. If the Chiefs can establish the run, that's how they win. If they can't establish the run and they're forced, and Mahomes has to throw 53 attempts in this game, they're not going to win. Because now if you go to the flip side, the Ravens are... They had Mark Andrews back in this game, right? I just don't remember seeing him that much, but I thought I saw a report that he was healthy. So, hold on. Hold on. Hold, please. We're just going to sit here for a second. Okay, no, he did not play. He did not play in this game. Okay, that's what I thought. But I thought I saw a report saying he was healthy enough to go. So, hold on. Let's find out. Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews? Yeah, out for the divisional round. So, Baltimore's most likely going to get Mark Andrews back. That's one weapon they have. That's one weapon that the Chiefs have to respect. Zay Flowers, as the season has progressed, has gotten better and better as a deep threat and also as a slot receiver due to his speed. That's another player they're going to have to respect. And then that's kind of like where everything kind of ends, which is kind of rough for Baltimore. Now, obviously, the running back... not the running back. I just almost called Lamar Jackson a running back. The running element of Lamar Jackson as well as the passing element of Lamar Jackson makes it two different players to have to really defend. So you have the running Lamar and you have the passing Lamar. So that's two other guys there. And I think that, again, cold weather game, both teams have the pieces for a passing game, but both teams need to establish the run. And I just think that Baltimore has a better scheme for it. And they also match up just slightly better against the Chiefs' defense than the Chiefs' offense matches up against the Ravens' defense. As for the NFC Championship, man, not just me, everyone wants the Lions to win this. Everyone except for Niners fans. Let's be real. Don't look at me and say you want the Niners to win this. No one does. The Lions are the most likable, if not the most likable team in the NFL. Not currently, but probably in the last 10 to 15 years. What's not to like about this team? The only reason I understand you not liking them is if you're like a Vikings, Bears, or Packers fan. That's it. But even the Packers probably want the Lions to win because they just lost to the Niners and they have that curse against the Niners. So there's that. But everyone's pushing for the Lions to win. But this game is going to be in San Fran with colder weather than it would have been in the Dome in Detroit. Which, wow, Detroit really ended up getting fucked over with the seating because of that one ineligible man call. That's insane. There's a real chance that ineligible man downfield call does not happen, that this game is in Detroit rather than San Francisco. Wow. No. Ignore what I just said because it was between Dallas and Detroit, not San Fran and Detroit. But still, not being in the Dome with warm weather, it's going to be difficult and different. And also, we've seen that the Lions are not the same team that they are at home when they are on the road. It's just getting out of control at this point. It looked fine an hour ago. I'm just trying to think of a way that the Lions can win this game. Because fuck the Niners. The Niners defense is just so loaded and so good at every element. Run stuffing, you're good. Pass coverage, you're great. Pass rush, even greater. Run coverage, that's great too. It's really hard. Meanwhile, if you go to the flip side with Detroit, their run defense is okay. Their pass defense has gotten better, but they're not great at anything. It's the jack of all trades situation. Would you rather be phenomenal at one thing or okay at a bunch of things? Meanwhile, you have the Niners who are phenomenal at a bunch of things. And then offensively, we really are heading for a Niners-Ravens Super Bowl, which it doesn't suck because it'll be a fun game, but we won't. anyone but the Niners. A Lions-Ravens Super Bowl will be so fun because those two teams we haven't seen. Like, another reason I don't want the Niners, and I don't think a lot of people want the Niners to get to the Super Bowl, is because there are 3 of the 4 teams. Well, I guess the Chiefs. Fuck out of here. I was really hoping the Bills would win. But, the Niners and the Chiefs, the reasons teams don't want them to make the Super Bowl is not because they're jealous, not because they don't like them. It's because we have the opportunity to have 2 teams who haven't been to the Super Bowl in 10 years for the Ravens, and then you got ever for the Lions. So no recent memory. We literally just saw a Niners-Chiefs Super Bowl. We just saw the Niners in the Super Bowl. We've seen the Chiefs in the Super Bowl constantly. Like, it'd be super fun to see something new. And that's why people were pushing for the Packers to beat the Niners. That's why people wanted Josh Allen to overcome this playoff drought he's had against Patrick Mahomes. And so, but gotta get them Taylor Swift shots. So yeah, if you haven't gathered by now, I basically, if I'm guessing what happens in the Niners-Lions game, I imagine the Niners will win. Now, so 4 teams left. Let's rank them. Best to worst. Best team, Baltimore Ravens. Second best, San Francisco 49ers. Third best, Detroit Lions. Yeah, I said that. Just because you're the best player on the planet does not mean you are better as an overall roster. Fourth, the Chiefs. Man, we had an opportunity to have such a fun playoffs, and 2 of the 4 teams remaining. It's like, really? Like, a Bills, Ravens, Packers, Lions situation would have been so great, but here we are. So, it's kind of like, what's more likely? Do the Chiefs upset the Ravens, or do the Lions upset the Niners? And honestly, what's more likely is that the Niners, no. What's more likely is that the Chiefs upset the Ravens. I don't even know if that's true, because the Niners could lose this game. They almost lost to Green Bay, and Detroit has it in them, man. But I can't bet against Pat. Like, that's the situation. For what's more likely, I'm betting against either Jared Goff or Patrick Mahomes. And it's nothing against Jared Goff, because I want him to succeed. I want him to get to the Super Bowl. But we've bet against Patrick Mahomes before, and the refs on his side. And it's come back to bite us in the ass because he does it over and over and over again. And so, I think the thing is, too, is the Ravens have a history of not performing up to expectations in the playoffs, and this is the game where, they only had to play 1 playoff game so far due to the bye, so maybe this is the game where they shit the bed. Meanwhile, the Niners, they have a history of shitting the bed they have a history of performing up to expectations up until the Super Bowl, which is where they shit the bed. So then we have a Niners-Chiefs Super Bowl, which is like we saw that a couple years ago. It could have been so fun. Literally, guys, there were only 2 teams in the divisional round that no one wanted to advance. And we had the opportunity. Like, that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8. That's a 6 out of 8 teams we wanted to advance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I did the math right. But we got 2 of those teams. God, Bills would have been so much fun. Bills would have been so much fun, man. But that's what happens. So now, obviously, the conversation, shifting away from the Super Bowl for a second, the conversation is going to be what's next for the Bills. Do you get rid of Stephon Diggs? Do you break this whole thing up? And I'm going to say something controversial. I think it's totally fine if you trade Stephon Diggs. It's not possible because of his contract, but hear me out as to why. This is a team that did not use Stephon Diggs after the OC change as much as they did beforehand, and the team was having more success. And I'm not saying Stephon Diggs was hurting the Bills, but the Bills finding their identity in the run game was what allowed Josh Allen to have multiple weapons as opposed to one. That's what opened up the game for Dalton Kincaid, the phenomenal rookie out of Utah. Shout out Utah. That's what opened the game up for James Cook to really dominate. He looked good early on to the season, but once they switched over, that's when he looked like this is our franchise. This is a franchise running back for the Bills for the foreseeable future. That's what a franchise means. And so I think if you are somehow able to trade that contract, you're going to get a lot for him. I mean, the last team that traded him got their generational wide receiver in Justin Jefferson. So, I mean, I'm not saying you're going to get Justin Jefferson, but if there's a team out there that's willing to pay for Stephon Diggs, a team that needs a competent wide receiver, maybe like the Chiefs, that's willing to pay up a premium for him, then yeah, you take that opportunity and you move on, because he's either going to be more expensive or more of a distraction when things aren't going your way. Because when they started winning, that's when we stopped hearing from Stephon Diggs. Even though he wasn't getting his targets and his catches, he stopped complaining because he was winning. So at least he's not complaining when they're winning. But the thing is, when they're not winning, it's such a distraction. And yeah, that may not be real. It's just something that it's a narrative that the media pushes. But I mean, you've seen Josh Allen on the sidelines when he's getting yelled at by Stephon Diggs. He's probably not having a great time getting yelled at. So I think it's totally fine if they want to move off of that contract and get younger or build something else, because it was clearly working this season. That's what's next for them. We kind of talked about what's next for Green Bay. Another team I guess we can talk about is what's next for Tampa Bay. Bring back Baker. Obviously, you're not high enough in the draft to draft a quarterback that is significant enough to make any huge changes. If you do draft a quarterback, it's a quarterback that can sit behind Baker for 1 or 2 or maybe 3 years, kind of like a Jordan Love situation, or however long until Baker starts to struggle. But right now, Baker looks like he can be the guy for at least 2 to 3 years. But if you want that to happen, you also have to bring back Mike Evans for at least 2 years. Mike Evans didn't really sound like he was ready to say goodbye. He wasn't, giving any hints as to that with his post-game pressers or anything like that. So I think there's a real possibility that he gets brought back. If not, it's probably because he wants to win a Super Bowl with a team like the Chiefs who need a wide receiver. He'll go to a wide receiver needy team, I think. But I think it's a real possibility that they can bring back Mike Evans. So if you can bring back Baker on he's not going to be expensive. He's going to be very cheap. So you can bring back Baker on a cheap quarterback contract and then bring back Mike Evans for 2 seasons. I think that's great too. And I think the biggest thing is to bolster your secondary. Obviously get healthier as well. But the one area that Tampa Bay did struggle with this season was in the pass game. Defensively. So if they can, there's not many. There's 3, in my opinion, for sure cornerbacks in this upcoming draft, like 3 guys you can hit on that they'll be able to take with their first round pick. So if you want to invest in secondary, you got to do it early and maybe bolster up the D-line just a little bit, because one thing that obviously helps your secondary is if there's defensive pressure on the quarterback. So maybe another edge rusher is something that they need to think about. Bill's good. See, and it's hard to say what's next for the Houston Texans because they're doing everything right. They don't have a first-round pick this year, but that's fine because they used both of theirs on players who are in the running for Rookie of the Year in both of their categories. So for them, if you can maybe in free agency, no one's going to be available. I was going to say get a running back, but I mean, they're fine with Devin Singletary for right now. They're a team that, they just got to get healthier. Maybe use your second. They have a second round pick next year, I think. But use the draft to work on your O-line a little bit. Also, maybe pair someone on the opposite side of Will Anderson so you have a dual threat on the defensive rush. But there's nothing really that the Texans need to change about what they're doing. They're on the right trajectory right now, and if they follow the right trajectory in progression, then they're a team that could be in the AFC Championship next season. So there's that. I've been talking a lot. My mouth is really parched. So I really want a Coke Zero. I'm going to get one. Screw it. You guys are going to get hold music. You're not really. You're just going to see nothing for 3 seconds. It's longer than 3 seconds. You know what I meant. Oh, yeah. I recently found out, not recently, about a month ago, Coke Zero, so much better than Diet Coke. So much better than Diet Coke. It's got a little sweetness to it that Diet Coke doesn't, That's what you guys came here for. Comparing Coke products. I don't really think there's that much else to talk about. It's funny because while I was ranking the teams earlier, I was also thinking do the quarterback rankings follow the same pattern? So if we're ranking the remaining NFL quarterbacks, it's different than ranking the remaining NFL teams. Because number 1 is Lamar Jackson. For this season, all right? This season, Lamar is the best out of this bunch. Not career, this season, with this scheme and this play calling. Okay? I'm not saying he's a better player overall than Patrick Mahomes is, but this season, he sure as hell is. Number 2 is Patrick Mahomes. Number 3, in my opinion, is Jared Goff. And number 4 is Brock Purdy. It's fine. I'll take the hate comments. It's fine. They're going to be down there. I already know it. Keep writing it. I'll give you time. All right. You done? Cool. All right. All the Brock Purdy fans are really mad that I said that. But fine. If you want to interchange Jared Goff and Brock Purdy, you can. I won't. But that's the reality of the situation. I think it's because Jared Goff has been in these situations before. He's much more of a veteran than Brock. Brock Purdy's in his second season. And yeah, he got to I almost said the Super Bowl. He got to the NFC Championship in his rookie season. But it's not just because you've been there before. It isn't like you've been there before. Like, this is his second season under his belt, his first full-length season under his belt. So yeah, if Brock Purdy gets back next year, surely he'll be maybe in the top 3 or top 2. But right now, Jared Goff is a guy who's been to a Super Bowl. He's been in the league for, what now, 7 years? Fuck, I'm old. Has it really been 7 years? I was like a junior in high school when Jared Goff got drafted. Because that was the Jared Goff-Carson Wentz trade, right? Damn. And now Carson Wentz is on the team that Jared Goff got traded by. That's funny. Or drafted by. So I'm curious what your guys' rankings are. I mean, that's mine. I'm curious how you guys are going to rank the quarterbacks. And I'm also curious how are you guys going to rank the remaining NFL teams? Because, yeah, you're probably not going to agree with me, but I'm curious, as to why you rank them in a certain way. That's the thing. We're just here for conversation. I spit my opinion. It's not right. Just an opinion, not a fact. Sometimes. And I'm curious as to what your guys' thoughts are. I'm not trying to change your guys' mind. Now, when some people are assholes in the comment sections, that's when I'll put on my typing fingers, because it is kind of fun to troll people sometimes. But no, I just like the conversation because I like hearing other people's arguments as to why, X should be Y or why my Y should be X. It's really, I've had my mind changed a bunch of times. I genuinely, a couple weeks ago, I talked about how I think Christian McCaffrey should be MVP, but a lot of people were making really good points about Lamar Jackson. Lamar, and it genuinely changed my mind. I'm like, yeah, that's totally fair. Lamar does deserve this MVP. He may not be the most valuable player, but he is a player that you take CMC off of that Niners team, they're probably still making the NFC Championship. It just looks different. You take Lamar off of this Ravens team, they're not even sniffing the AFC Championship, let alone a bye week. So yeah, you guys can change my mind sometimes. Don't worry. You won't hurt my feelings. I'm an actor. I get told no all the time. Believe me. You guys can't get under my skin, but not easy. That's really it. I mean, pretty short podcast. There's not much to talk about. It was just kind of the initial reaction to the end of the Chiefs-Bills game, and then just talking about everything that's going to go on. Zach, obviously not here today. Totally fine. He's off doing stuff. He's doing personal stuff, but who cares? He'll be back next week. You guys, it was just some me time, some con dog time, You guys got to hear me talk about Coke. That's the one thing. I don't rehearse these. Could you imagine after the game I'm like rehearsing? That would be the worst rehearsal ever, because how many times do I just sit here with nothing to say for like 3 seconds? When I record these, it's so off the bat that like I don't have time. Yeah, the only thing I prepare is during every single game, I write on my notepad, which is over. You guys can't see it. It's on that coffee table. I write on my notepad everything, all the points I'm going to talk about from each game, but that's the most preparation I do when I'm doing like right off the cuff. So Zach will be back next week. Don't worry. Anyways, I should probably go edit this so it can go up Monday morning, and you guys can watch it. Also, shout out everybody for all the support lately. We are on an insane streak on YouTube right now. I know this isn't a lot, but it's a lot to me, okay? Let's take a look so I'm not talking cap. As of today's video, our shorts that we've posted, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 out of our last 19 have gotten at least 2,000 views, and that's awesome. So shout out to everybody for all the just supporting us, and it's really, really kind of cool to see, especially like TikTok and Instagram do pretty good numbers as well. YouTube, seeing those numbers is really interesting as well, especially when the podcasts themselves get good views. That's really kind of heartwarming to see, because I'm a dumbass 23-year-old in my living room talking about sports. So it's kind of cool that I get you guys' support, and I've been doing this for 3 years now. But I love doing it. Super fun. Almost 4 years. Holy shit. It'll be 4 years in like May. Oh my God. All right. I'm going to go edit this and probably go to bed. So I'm curious your guys' thoughts on everything that happened this weekend and everything that's going to happen next weekend. So drop your guys' thoughts. Let me know. And I'll see you guys next week.